And we're back. I'm your host, BKP, the voice of rural America. Welcome back. Good morning from the office. It's 9:03. Now, before I bring in my next guest, many of you have seen and been keeping up and read several stories concerning former late DNC staffer Seth Rich that was murdered in DC, and it's an unsolved crime at this time. But many of you have seen recently news stories where former DC homicide detective Rod Wheeler had made comments in a news story to Fox 5 in DC that kindly spun out of control, and then the Rich family has asked him no longer to release any more information. But yesterday, Mr. Wheeler released a statement that, for me, kindly brings him back into the conversation, completely back into it, and that's who our guest is now. I want to welcome former DC homicide detective Rod Wheeler to the show. Mr. Wheeler, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for the invitation to be here, sir.
Okay, your statement yesterday. Now, I watched your original. I seen your original interview on Fox 5. I've followed your work for quite some time. I've been following the Seth Rich, whether he did send emails to WikiLeaks, the hacked emails. How did WikiLeaks get those and release them? Was it the Russians or was it Seth Rich, DNC? And we, don't have time to go all the way back into that story. But the Fox 5 interview with you brought you full circle into it with some accusations and claims. Then it seems like within a 24-hour news cycle, my words, you seem to retract several of those things. And then yesterday, you put out a statement here concerning, and why are you back into this, and why did you put this statement out that we're going to go over a little bit in a minute?
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for having me on today. First of all, let me go back to the Fox 5 interview on Monday night. I think it's so important that the listeners hear the truth. And that Fox 5 reporter, Marina Morocco, she manipulated and spliced that video to fit the story that she wanted to break. I have to say that because if she were to have played the entire interview that I did with her, which was only about 2.5 minutes, then the viewers would have clearly been able to see exactly what I was talking about. But the way she spliced it and manipulated it, it kind of, like I said, it took away exactly what I was saying. So I wanted to say that. With respect to the statement that I put out yesterday, again, I thought it was so important that the people that's watching this thing know exactly what's going on. Here's the thing. A lot of people that's been involved in making comments and it's been an assassination attempt on me, obviously. These people have political motivations, and I have zero political motivations, and I never have had any political motivations. My only motivation, Brian, has been to solve a murder, and that's what I've been trying to do.
Well, let me just take one part out of this. You said recently there has been much discussion in the national media surrounding my revelation that I believe Seth's death could be possibly linked to his former employment at the DNC or with relation to other connections to his employment. I am still of personal opinion that his murder may be tied to his employment. So are you saying there that you still feel there's a possibility that there's some link to his employment, some link to these possible emails that were leaked? What is that statement from you? What are you really saying there?
Right. And I apologize. I can't go into details because of the cease and desist letter. But let me just say this. I do believe that his death, his murder, was related some kind of way to his job or relationships on the job. But I've also mentioned in the statement, I've asked the family of Seth Rich to allow me to release my findings from my investigation up to this point. The reason I ask that is because anyone with half a brain will see, once I release this report, they're going to say, I understand why he thinks this now. because of some of the things that I found in the investigation. It's very clear, but I can't release it because they don't want me to release it and they don't want me to talk about it.
Okay, well, you have a very poor cell phone connection. I'm able to hear this, and the viewers, if they go back, they'll be able to hear it. So what you're saying is you just said that you feel there's possibly still a link to his murder and his employment. You still feel that link is possible there?
Yes, I do. And I also feel as though I was getting very close. This is interesting. I think I was getting very close to identifying a motive in this case. But then, as soon as it got very close, that's when I got stopped.
Wait, that's when you got stopped. What do you mean that's when you got stopped? Because that's what many are thinking. Like, I have been watching you for years. You're a contributor for many networks and many news outlets, and I've been watching you for years. So when I'll say it my way, you know, I've always respected what you've looked into. So when I'm listening to this Fox 5 interview that you say that, you know, she chopped all up, okay. But when you say you got stopped, that's when you got stopped. When you got close to a motive, you got stopped. What's that mean?
Yeah, it means that, and again, without going into any detail about the investigation, when a person says that they've gotten stopped in an investigation, that means you're ignorant of it. And that's what happened to me in this case. Again, I can't wait until I can release my report because it talks about that in my report. I talk about how I'm being stonewalled, not given certain information that I think could crack this case. I wasn't given it.
Who is stonewalling you? Who is stonewalling you?
Oh, I can't say at this point. I mean, I could say, but I can't say because of the cease and desist letter, and I can't talk about it. But as soon as they allow me to release this report, the world can see.
The cease and desist came from the Rich family asking you to cease and desist, representing them in any way?
That's correct.
Okay, and you feel you're being stonewalled. Now, who has this investigation right now? The D.C. Homicide Detectives Division of the D.C. Police Department? Who has this investigation right now?
Right, the D.C. Police, they're the lead agency on this investigation. Any murder that occurs in the District of Columbia, the D.C. Police would take the lead. Now, the D.C. Police did reach out to me a couple of days ago, which is a good thing, and they said, Rod, let's sit down and talk. We'd like to hear what you found in your investigation. So I think they're really going to start really making an effort to try to solve this, finally.
When you said you've been stonewalled, and who has Seth Rich's computer? Who has the computer?
Yeah, I really, I hate to say I can't talk about it because I want the listeners to know the truth, but I can't talk about it. But let me just put it like this real quick, Brian. That's a question I've been asking for the past 3 months.
Okay.
There's a couple of other questions too. If you think about it for a minute, in regards to the investigation, there's a couple of other questions along those same lines where we don't have answers to, and then you have to ask yourself, why don't we have answers to these?
Well, I mean, exactly. I mean, there's several questions surrounding where's the computer. There's a lot of questions. I mean, there's several questions. Just in the fact, his murder. They did not take a wallet. I mean, you've been a homicide detective for years. What's a murder gone wrong? I mean, what is a robbery gone wrong? What is that? Because it doesn't look like it was foiled by people that caught the robber and they ran off. I mean, I'm a little confused by that, but I can't really speak to it. His wallet was intact. Everything was intact when he was found, correct?
That's correct. And a botched robbery or robbery gone wrong usually means that the victim put up some resistance. And when the victim puts up resistance, then, a fight ensues, maybe someone gets shot, and then the bad guy will run off. Now, could that have been possible in this case? I think so. I think it could have been very possible. But when you start digging into it and you try to find some evidence to support that, as everyone knows now, there hasn't been any evidence to support that at all.
Well, you know, there's been, you know, obviously, you know, there's the conspiracy theory world, and I'm cautious on touching that third rail, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be, you know, sometimes we get labeled immediately conspiracy theory if we actually try to research and look at something. And, you know, I'm thinking, what, did he have a flash drive in his pocket that he was taking information out of headquarters at night, sticking a flash drive in a computer, downloading stuff, and he got caught or something like that? I mean, there's just so many things that are left open that need to be answered.
Well, let me just say this, Larry, then I'm going to have to drop off. I mean, Brian, then I'm going to have to drop off. I can answer some of those questions.
Okay.
Once that report is released, I can answer quite a few questions that I think your listeners have.
What's the status on you being able to release your report?
I haven't heard back from the family. I don't think they're going to want me to release it because it's going to have in it, and I just don't think they're going to want me to release it.
Okay, well, you know for sure we're going to be trying to contact you to find out when. Are you able to say where you're at today and what you're working on today? I mean, I just give you opportunity, or if you're not able to say what you got going on,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I'm just up here teaching a course.
Teaching
an
a course.
Investigation course, of all things, an investigation course.
Investigate. Mr. Wheeler, I know you got to take off. I appreciate getting with us on such late notice and clearing so many things up. You do still feel there's a possibility, that his death could surround his employment, and you think your report, if able to release it, would answer a lot of questions we have out here.
Yes, I do, Brian.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wheeler. You have a nice day, and we'll be back in touch with you.
And I want to thank you. I want to thank you as well for being fair and balanced and even, and I appreciate that, sir.
You're welcome, Mr. Wheeler. Thank you very much, and we'll be back in touch. Okay, that's Rod Wheeler, former DC homicide detective, concerning the death of Seth Rich. You heard it here. He is not going to the major media outlets because you hear what he said Fox 5 did to him in a 2-minute interview. He is not going to the major media outlets. He is cautious on what he's doing now. But two things we had answered by this detective this morning is, yes, he still believes Seth Rich's death may be surrounded by his employment at the DNC or his association with the DNC, and if able to release his report, will answer most of those questions. I'm going to take a brief break, regroup, because I did have some other stuff on this. We're going to stay with the same segment, Sam. And stay. We're going to go over a couple more things with Seth Rich. Then we're going to talk about the president's visit, his historical religious foreign trip. Take us a break, Sam.
20% off is a big number, but you always save big at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. And now during Malibu month, every new Malibu LS is discounted 20% off at Days, starting from just $19,900. Plus, huge discounts on Silverado crew cabs too, from just $35,900. So if a low price makes you smile, come save 20% off at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
what you gonna do with all that junk?
Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Highway 515 South, Jasper. SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Pull up that statement. I'm back. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to wrap up a couple things here on Seth Rich. We just got off the phone with Homicide Detective Rod Wheeler. Now, you can't read it, but pull his statement up there. There's two takeaways. We had a lot of things going on. You can find this full statement on FetcherNews.com. If you go to FetcherNews.com, you can find Detective Wheeler's full statement. Okay, former DC Homicide Detective Wheeler's full statement released concerning Seth Rich and all the media going on, the death of Seth Rich. You can find that there. But what I broke out of that is the paragraph that you read up top here. Recently, there has been so much discussion in the national media surrounding my revelation that I believe that Seth's death could be possibly linked to his former employer at the DNC, or with relationship to others connected to his employment. I am still a personal opinion that his murder may be tied to his employment. So he's still of the opinion that Seth Rich's murder could be tied to his employment. He's not his opinion. It doesn't say his opinion is it's a botched robbery. You heard me ask, was there a flash drive in Seth's pocket that maybe he was taking DNC information home, downloading, and got caught? Okay? Did he have a flash drive? Did you hear the answer? If not, we had poor cell phone connection. The answer is he can answer that question when he can give more details on that when he's allowed to release his report. We will find that out when the report is released. So he is asking the Rich family, Detective Wheeler is asking the Rich family to allow him to release his report. He is asking to have his report released. Okay, where is Seth Rich's computer? Where's it at? Put Seth's picture up there. I don't think I have anything else other than that today. Where's Seth Rich's computer? This is the kid here, right? Where's it at? It's a question he's been asking for quite some time. It's in the report. So, he is asking to release his report. Finally, by way of this statement, I humbly ask the Rich family to please allow me to release either my full report or a summary thereof of my findings up to date with regard to the investigation before release. I would be happy to redact the names and addresses of all persons mentioned in the report. Okay? Now, I don't remember, it is on the audio. I forget what he said. He was moving right along until he got shut down. Did you hear that? Till he got shut down. Who shut Rod Wheeler down? Who released the WikiLeaks? Who gave WikiLeaks $60,000 of John Podesta's emails? Put his emails up over there. Who released 60,000 of John Podesta's emails through the DNC server? Who released those emails that have code words that came up to the fake news, that's what they call it, I'm just going there, fake news story of Pizzagate? Who did all of this? Who got it out there? Just saying. Before he was shut down. Who is shutting this story down? I think Mr. Wheeler wants to get his report out. I'm your host, BKP. I am going to take a commercial break so we can close this segment. I need to get set up for the next one, and we're going to talk about Donald Trump's historic religious foreign policy peacekeeping trip when we return.